Okay. Okay, we are now Genesis 46. We started it last time, got into a little bit, but didn't get too far. But I want to come back to the Joseph story. And just as a brief summary of that story, what has happened? Let's come back to the beginning. In Genesis, we have the story of this man, Jacob, who has 12 sons. And where does the drama begin here? What is this? How would you start the story of Jacob and Joseph's story here? And who wants to give it a start? Go. How does it begin?
Begins with the father. No, it begins with Joseph describing dreams that he had, and where I guess the interpretation of the dreams is that the brothers would ultimately bow down to him. The dreams, I believe, were of sheep and sheep bowing down. The brothers took offense of that. Took offense that the father was lifting him up as his favorite, and so there was a lot of jealousy involved.
Okay, so we'll start with that tension right there. Is that on the one hand, how does Joseph's father feel about him, and how do his brothers feel about him? That's the beginning tension. So the first thing about the father, you mentioned a little bit. What does it say about the? Do you remember why the father loved him more than the others? You remember why that was?
Well,
Because of his mother.
No.
it was because he was a child of his old age.
The scripture says it's because he was a child of his old age. I suspect that his mother had something to do with it, given that that was the wife that he loved. But that's not what the text doesn't say that. If you remember, it says that he was the child of his old age, and I guess when you're older and have a kid, they become really special to you. Similar to like Abraham and Isaac. You know, Abraham is like 100 years old when Isaac comes around.
Mm.
So he's that special one, and he gives him a special gift, if you remember. Do you girls remember the gift that Jacob gave his son Joseph? Yeah, Haley. Or either one. Addie, what did he give him?
A rainbow robe.
He gave I gave him a coat of many colors, right? And how did the brothers feel about all that?
They were not very happy. They were very jealous.
Very jealous. And there's a few reasons why they couldn't stand Joseph. One was that his father clearly loved him more than the others.
Mhm.
But there was a couple other things, reasons why they just hated him and were driven to a point of wanting to kill him. And it's one thing, think about that for a second. It's one thing to, you know, you can't stand your sister because you're jealous of her or she just drives you crazy. It's another thing to be driven to the point of wanting to actually kill her or to kill him. Why did they want to do that? Yeah.
They were jealous because he didn't really work. He just walked around and like
Actually, he wasn't that he was lazy. It wasn't that he was just hanging around, but he did something related to that. If you remember, there was something that Joseph did related to their work that made them hate him.
He was a snitch.
He was a snitch. You're coming down pretty hard on this poor guy. He's like, yeah, if you remember, it says
He reported back what the other brothers were doing, or
he
not.
gave a bad report of his brothers. Did they deserve a bad report?
Yeah.
Absolutely. He wasn't trying. It wasn't. And that's where it's like Joseph is not this snitch. He's just trying to get his brothers in trouble. His brothers are depraved. They're wicked. And remember, his brothers were murderers. You remember? Simeon and Levi murdered all those men. And you remember Reuben, it conspired against his father, and Judah, man, he was a degenerate. They're just the worst. And he gives a bad report, an honest report to the father, and they can't stand it for that. And then there was the other reason that really put him over the edge, which you kind of mentioned earlier. So he's the favorite of the father. He exposes the wickedness of the brothers. And then the third one was related to those dreams. And if you remember the significance of the dreams, what are these just his own personal dreams? What is that? Haley, what is that?
They all symbolized all the brothers bowing down to Joseph.
Yes, that was the message of the dreams, is that Joseph would be exalted above them, and that even not just the brothers, but the sun, the moon, the stars would bow down to him.
Okay, too.
Yeah, but what was the
Because they were messages from God.
yes, that's
Dreams were
important to
given to
get.
him, yeah.
These are messages from, this is God's word being revealed to them. It's not simply Joseph having some dreams. Oh, I had a dream. And no, they understood this is the word of God to them. That's how God was communicating. Joseph is a prophet here, and God is communicating to him through these dreams, as he does later on through the dreams of the baker and the butler, as well as the dreams of Pharaoh. God's speaking and revealing his will. And that's what drives them to madness, so that they're really acting now in rebellion to the word of God in these passages. So that's where we began the story, his betrayal. We have this incredible story of how he is sold into slavery, into Egypt, and how things go for him in Egypt. Pretty well. Things turn around for him in Egypt. Remember what
You
happens
don't
when he gets...
mind being in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, he starts as a slave for
What's that? Yeah.
Potiphar. He works his way up, and then he gets slandered by Potiphar's wife, ends up in jail, and he's just forsaken and forgotten in the lowest place until the dreams come. And then God speaks again, and through Pharaoh's dreams, Jacob is exalted to the highest place, where he has control over all of Egypt. He can do as he wants, and when the famine hits, he sees his brothers coming back to him, seeking bread, and he has complete power over the very people who betrayed him. So we know what's going to happen next, right? Joseph is going to get his revenge, right? He's going to put those miserable brothers to death, or just torment them, right? Is that what happens?
No.
What does he do when he sees them?
He tests them to find out whether they've changed or not.
He tests them. He gives them a series of tests to see if they really have repented. Are they honest men? And they do. They pass the test. The first test is he takes one of the brothers and holds him captive and sends the others home. Will they come back for their brother? Will they return the money that he put back in their purses? Or are they still greedy, selfish men? But they come back, and with the youngest brother. He then does another test where he shows favoritism to the youngest, to Benjamin, gives him 5 times more. Will they be upset? They are not. They actually eat and drink and celebrate with him. And then when their brother is arrested, their innocent brother arrested for stealing the silver cup, what happens next that breaks Joseph so that he can't play the charade anymore, and he reveals himself? Yeah, go ahead, Haley.
I think it was the oldest brother, maybe Judah. He sacrificed himself and said he would take the place of the brother who was going to be arrested.
Yes. Isn't that beautiful when Judah steps forward, says, take me. I can't bear to see my father grieved. Just, I will stand in his place. I will be your servant forever. And you can just let him go. And at that point, Joseph can't handle it. And that, again, there you see that theme that we saw in all those passages of the righteous one paying for the sins of the guilty. And that message of grace, we saw it with Joseph. All of his suffering was because of the sin of his brothers. And then when he sets up Benjamin, he's the righteous one, who the only righteous brother was Benjamin, and he takes the blame for the other 11. And then after he's arrested, Judah, who was not accused and not condemned, declared righteous, offers to take the place of his brother. It's just so many times this theme comes through. And that really is what the gospel is all about now, isn't it? So the story completes, and Joseph, this beautiful story of reconciliation, forgiveness, and then he immediately sends them all back to bring Jacob to the land. And so now we have what is sort of the denouement Have you heard that term, the denouement? It's the end of a story. You have the climax of a story with the action scene, and then the last, but you can't end in the climax because it's just too intense. You need sort of a coming down the mountain, and you have sort of the denouement, the sort of the after story at the very end where they kind of bring it down a notch, and it kind of ends in peace and happiness. But it's after all the excitement and the tension is resolved, and you have sort of the last chapter as it kind of resolves and brings it kind of, you're coming down the mountain now, the denouement, as the story concludes. And that's what we have 46. We sort of have the after. Well, what happens next? Now that Jacob realizes and he goes, the Lord appears to him and he goes now to Egypt to see his son. And he's thrilled because he realizes that Joseph's hand will close his eyes, that he will see his son and his son will be there when he dies. So let's pick it up from there. Let's maybe read the Genesis 46, 1-4. Let's start with Haley. Would you start us off here?
Yeah, sure.
Genesis 46, 1-4.
So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you a great into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again, and Joseph's hand shall close your eyes.
That's what we talked about last time. We finished with that. He is first called Israel. Remember the difference? Why Israel? He's Jacob. Is he Israel? What is he? What's the significance of the name Israel, if you remember? Do you remember when he was called Israel for the first time? Why he was called Israel? Do you remember?
Is it something to do with wrestling with God?
Yeah, it was wrestling with God. It was the name that when he wrestled with the angel, who was the Lord himself, and he blessed us. He says, I won't let you go until you bless me. And he says, your name will no longer be Jacob, it is Israel. So this is his covenant name. As Israel means he who wrestles with God. It's his covenant name. And so it's a reminder that Jacob is not just some guy. He is a man who has been in covenant with God. And God has made promises to him. And the promises he gave to Jacob are the same promises he gave to Abraham and to Isaac. The promises of, remember the three promises, we go through them all the time. What are the three promises he gave to Abraham, then to Isaac, and to Jacob?
Land, nation of people, and and a blessing to the other rest of the world.
Yeah. I'll give you this land. You're going to have many descendants, and you'll be a blessing. I'll bless you, and all nations will be blessed through you. That's all kind of fulfilled. So here he says, don't be afraid to leave the land that I'm giving you. I'm going to bring you back to it. And so he goes. So let's pick it up from there. Addison, would you like to read for us? Verses 5-7.
Yeah, sure. 5 to
Bring it closer.
Yeah. Then Jacob set out from Beersheba. The sons of Israel carried Jacob, their father, their little ones, and their wives in the wagon that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and their goods. Sorry, I'm getting lost. Which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt. Jacob and all his offspring with him. It got to 7.
And verse 7, yeah.
His sons and his sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, all his offsprings he brought with him into Egypt.
Okay. So the point of this paragraph now is that Jacob now leaves Beersheba, which is in the land of Canaan, and heads to Egypt. And who or what does he take with him?
Everyone and everything.
His families.
He
Livestock,
takes
goods.
everything and everyone attached to him, right? Everything and all of his offspring as well. This is a complete relocation. There is no going back. So this is a permanent move for him, at least. They're not vacationing there. They're going to live there now, and they will be there. And after leaving Canaan, how many years are they going to be in the land of Egypt? Do you remember?
Was it 40?
No,
See?
no.
No,
You know,
40, never mind, yeah.
They will be in the land of Egypt. Anyone remember? For over 400 years. So
You're
think
just
about that-
missing a zero there, Bob, that's all.
yeah. So think about that for a second. That would be like, they would be like the pilgrims arriving. That was 400 years ago when the pilgrims arrived on Plymouth Rock. And how much has changed in the 400 years? How many generations have come and gone? It's really phenomenal. It's God's timing. It's like these stories move so quickly for us, because you read and then boom, you're in Exodus and you don't realize there's a 400-year gap between Genesis and Exodus. After all the things that have happened. So this is a permanent move for them. They're going to be there for a long time before God brings them out and moves the next chapter of redemption history. So, all right, let's pick it up there. Who doesn't mind reading a lot of names? We get from here. So
I'll take it as long as I'm not held accountable for it.
Zach, you got it. Here we go.
Now, these are the names of the descendants of Israel who came into Egypt: Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben: Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon: Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, the son of Judah: Er, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But Er and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamul. The sons of Issachar: Tola, Puva, Yob, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun: Sered, Elon, and Jaleel. These are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padam Aram, together with the daughter Dinah, all together with his sons and the daughters, numbered 33.
Okay, great job. All right, let's look at that paragraph here. How is that organized? All those names, this is the descendants of Jacob, but what do they all have in common, the names mentioned there?
Only talking about sons.
No, he does mention a daughter too. Does mention Dinah.
Oh, okay.
But what do they all have in common though?
They're all difficult names to say.
They get a little harder next paragraph. These are, if you notice, these sons, where do they come from? It's not all of his sons, it's only 6 of his sons.
Yeah,
And a daughter, Dinah. Did you catch it? It tells you right there, verse 15.
sons of Leah.
Yes, 6 sons and 1 daughter of Leah. So he starts with those. And without looking, well, obviously you can look, but without looking over there again, who are the 6 sons of Leah? Let's go through them real quickly.
Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi.
No, Reuben is the one, and then he has
Simeon.
4 sons, and his 4 sons, right? Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Son. The second son is, what was that?
Simeon,
Simeon. And how many
Simeon.
does he have? 6.
6,
The next one is
Levi,
Levi. And his 3 sons.
3 sons,
Next is
Judah.
Judah. And his,
3 sons, because 2 of them died.
yes, very good. 3 sons. 2 of them had died. There were 5 listed, but 2 died. And the sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamil, and 2 grandsons. And then who's after that? Was it Issachar? The 4 sons.
4 sons,
And then we got Zebulun. How many sons does he have?
3.
3 sons. Okay.
I'm trying to tell on these, with Reuben, is that also the son would be well, his first son's, his first wife. Reuben's son married, and she was the one that ended up acting as a concubine.
No, you're thinking of Judah and Tamar.
On top of Judah, yeah.
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 Yeah,
But-
Haley, you can say something? Sorry.
No, I was just saying, are they in here?
They're not mentioned. The women are not mentioned. So so right now it says there's 33. Is that what it is? Number 33?
Yeah.
So how many is that here? 4, 10, 16, 18, 22, 25, plus 6, 31, 32, and I guess 33 with Leah. Including with Jacob. So I'm not sure how they count it, but they've got to have some daughters in there. They don't mention the wives. They don't count the wives. But yeah, Haley, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
Who were Issachar and Zebulun? Because I don't think they were sons of Jacob, were they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They were. So Leah had given birth to 4 sons at first: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. And then she stopped giving birth. And then Rachel gave her concubine, and Jacob had a couple with her. And then Leah gave her concubine, had a couple more, and then God gave Leah 2 more, Issachar and Zebulun. So they came a little bit later in the story. And then they also had Dinah with there. So, but according to this here, so however they counted it, there were 33 total. Okay. Let's look at the next paragraph here. 16 to 18. Who's got that? Jeff, you want to get that for us?
yeah. The sons of Gad, Ziphion, Haggi, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Arodi, Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beria, with Sarah, their sister. And the sons of Beria, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons.
Okay. So, all right. So what of this then? So there's 33 total from Leah, according to this. I'm not sure if I'm correctly. This one now we have, who were they from? Jacob. These are Jacob's 2 sons. From who?
Um,
Gad,
Well, who's the mother? Who's the mother?
Yeah.
Not
No,
Leah,
Laban,
not Laban,
Zilph,
Zilpah.
Zilpha.
Zilpah,
Hmm.
that would be Leah's concubine. So they are Leah's servant, I guess it is, right?
mhm,
Leah's servant. So these are connected to Leah also, though they are not Leah's, they are her servants. So they are kind of, she gets credit for them here, if you will. And who are these? Let's go through them again. We have, who are the two sons? First one is
Gad,
Gad,
Gad. And how many sons does he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And his 7 sons.
7,
And then who's the other one?
Asher,
Asher,
And his, what, 4 sons?
and a daughter.
4 sons and a sister. Yeah.
Sons of,
His sister.
and we also have 2 more grandsons mentioned, Berea's sons. So with that added to it for 7, 14. So there's 14 plus Gad and Asher. There you go. There's your 16.
Mm.
Okay, 16 total from Zilpah. All right. If you like math, this is a great lesson. If you don't, probably find here. All right. Let's move on here. Next one is the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Rachel. Let's read that paragraph. Let me start a new section here. Okay. Let's see who's got that. Bob Thomas, you want to get that for us? Yeah.
Sure, that's 19 to 22.
Yes, please.
The sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Aseneth, the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On, bore to him. And the sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Muppim, Huppim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all.
Nice. So, total of 14 from Rachel. So we had the 2 sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin, and 10 sons to Benjamin. He wasn't messing around there. So from, that's interesting because, you think of all the pictures of in our Bible stories of Benjamin is he's like a little boy when he comes to Egypt. If you remember seeing those themes, he's like this younger brother, he's like this little guy. And according to this, when they go to Egypt, he's got 10 sons already. So he's he's not a little kid. He's definitely not a little kid anymore. 14 from Rachel that are going to be coming. All right, let's move it along real quickly here. The sons of the next one here, 23. Let's go down to 27. Bob Fowler, can you get that for us?
I
you see
will
it?
give it my best shot here.
All right. You
The
can pass
son
on Elizabeth if you want.
The son of Dan, Hushim. The sons of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shillem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph, who were born to him in Egypt, were 2. and all the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70.
Okay. All right. So Jacob's sons now by Bilhah, the two sons by Bilhah, Rachel's servant, are
Dan,
Dan, and he had one son, and
Naphtali,
Naphtali.
Naphtali. And Naphtali had, was it 4 sons?
4, yes.
So total of 7. Okay. So now so that's from Bilhah. So the total number coming from Canaan was how many?
well, 67, because 3 were already in Egypt, right?
4 in Egypt, so it's 66.
Okay.
He says 66 traveling from Canaan, and plus the 4 in all the persons of the house of Jacob came, it was 70. So I guess they're counting 4, they're counting counting Jacob's wife. Oh, and the sons of Joseph were 2. So, oh, I get it. Plus the sons of Joseph, plus Joseph and his sons, which is 3. But how do they get 70? Yeah, Haley.
His wife?
No, they're not counting women. They're not counting
No.
women.
Jacob,
Jacob himself, plus Jacob himself. We get 70. That's how you get. Now, it's like, okay, what's the big deal with that? That actually 70 is going to be an interesting number. Because you're going to see that number come up in the New Testament. Remember, how many apostles did Jesus choose? Remember how many apostles? Yep. Haley?
12.
12. Why 12?
12
Why not?
tribes. Jacob.
That's exactly right. They're going to go to the lost sheep of Israel, to the 12 tribes. But there was another time when Jesus sent out not 12 guys. I think it's in the Gospel of Luke. Do you remember how he sent out?
Sent
Right.
out 70.
He sent out 70. This is helpful to understand. Jesus sent out 70 on a mission one time. And it can be symbolizing, it can be 70 for the 70 who came to Egypt. That was the number of Israel when they were thrown into the kingdom of darkness, into Egypt. And there they're going to be the light of the world, these 70, as they've moved into Egypt. So that 70 is going to be an interesting number to keep an eye on. All right, let's pick it up from there. Elizabeth, would you read the next section for us? 28 to, I guess, to the end of that passage, 34.
Okay. He had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him in Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. Then Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father in Goshen. He presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept on his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, my brothers and my father's household, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me, and the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all they have. When Pharaoh calls you and says, 'What is your occupation?' and you shall say, 'Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth even until now, both we and our fathers, in order that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians."
Okay. interesting things here. So now there's a little, can you, I don't know if you can feel the tension in this paragraph here. So it kind of reminds me of, you ever watch I don't know if you ever watch some of these like horror movies or like alien movies or some of these things where you have these great battles with the enemy. Or even better analogy is, you ever remember the first Star Wars movie? Right? The good ones, not the lousy ones that came later. The very first one, right? With Star Wars. And he blows up the Death Star. And do you remember how it ends with Darth Vader? Remember how that story ends with him? After they blow up, they're celebrating and they have a clip. And it's Darth Vader. He is like spinning off in space in one of those T-Wings or whatever they were. And it's like he's clearly been defeated, but he's still alive. And so the story isn't over yet, is it? That there's something, not everything's been fully resolved here. And it's setting you up for the sequel, the next story that's going to happen, The Empire Strikes Back, where he comes back and gets his revenge. And there's this hint about this. Everything is kind of happy right now. But there is this hint in this paragraph even that there's something not quite finished yet about this story. What is it in that paragraph that gives you the hint that not all is well with the world just yet?
Well, the fact that he's telling all of his family to say that they are shepherds, because in Egypt they look down on shepherds and it'll keep them separate from the Egyptians.
Yeah, you can see here. So they come in. So Jacob and his family, we're told, are moved to Goshen, which we're told is what kind of land is Goshen? If you remember.
They were supposed to be given a very good piece of land, some of the best land in Egypt.
Which is a great property for them. Okay. Lots of space and pastures. It's perfect for shepherding. And so because they are shepherds. And so Pharaoh, we're told, how does Pharaoh feel about Jacob and his family?
He loves them.
This Pharaoh loves Jacob and his family. But we are told at the end,
The Egyptians might not.
The Egyptians, I mean, to say that every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians. My goodness. The phrasing of that, not that they just looked, what's an abomination?
They hate him.
Yeah, something to be hated, something that they condemned. And you can, it kind of makes sense, because if you think about Egypt and the animals in Egypt, I mean, what's the first animal you think of when you think of Egypt and the Nile River? And what are some of the animals that they celebrate in Egypt?
Well, they celebrate the cow, don't they?
Crocodile.
They do have cows there. Yeah, I think so. But what's the famous, what is it really? What is that?
Crocodile.
Yes, the crocodile, right? The Nile crocodile, the dragon in there. I mean, it's this powerful, awesome, animal. And then what's the animal that is on the crown of Pharaoh?
Snake.
Is the serpent, right? This love of the power and the fierceness. And why would they hate shepherds then? Why would they look down? Why would they despise shepherds so much? What's wrong with shepherds?
Sheep's are weak.
Sheep is weakness. This is Egypt. The Egyptians hate and abominate shepherds. Again, reminding you of this struggle from the very beginning of Genesis. The Savior will come, the seed of the woman, the son of the woman, gentle, the weak, will be opposed to the seed of the serpent, who will strike. And so the Egyptians, I mean, Egypt is power of this world. We're reminded, this is the son of the serpent. And all the dragon. That's why the Nile crocodile is like the dragon here. Just a fierce, awesome creatures. Israel is the weakness, but the power of God.
The shepherds probably killed the crocodiles and the serpents in order to protect the sheep from them.
Possibly. I mean, if I don't know that they would be, I don't know if they, I'm wondering if they had crocodiles in that particular area, possibly. But yeah, they would certainly protect from these animals that the Egyptians would have adored or admired. But it's that weakness that is about, because you think about it, it's like, how can you hate shepherds? I mean, goodness, sheep are great. I mean, you get so much from them, wool and you get
They taste good.
tastes great. You know, you can even get milk from them, and they're so useful. They're so great in so many ways. And but they are weak and stupid. There's nothing about these are pagan people. They worship things. They worship the animals, and no one looks up to a sheep. No one worships a lamb, except we do. We worship the lamb. You know, that's the offense of the cross. That's the offense of Christianity. The offense of our faith is that we worship the God who humbles himself, the Lord who humbles himself and makes himself a sacrifice for our sin. We don't worship, he doesn't come as the warrior who conquers and overwhelms the enemies. He is not, God is not power, God is love. God has all power, but he is love. And whereas Satan is power. This is his domain. And so even here we get this hint that's going to set us up for the next book in Exodus of when this seed of hatred and evil really comes to fruition. But for now, it's just dormant. And we move on like nothing happened, like we see with Darth Vader being spun off into space. We're like, we don't have to worry about him anymore. He's done. Except, of course, he's not. All right, so 304. Let's get a little bit into chapter 47. Where do we leave off here? Let's start again. I think everyone's read. Haley, you want to start us off again? 47, 1 to 6.
Okay. So Joseph went in and told Pharaoh, "My father and my brothers, with their flocks and herds and all that they possess, have come to the land of Canaan. They are now in the land of Goshen." Sorry, come from the land of Canaan. They are now in the land of Goshen. And from among his brothers he took 5 men and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, "What is your occupation?" And they said to Pharaoh, "Your servants are shepherds, as our fathers were." They said to Pharaoh, "We have come to sojourn in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flocks, and for the famine is severe in the land of Canaan. And now, please let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen." The Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Egypt is before you. Settle your fathers and your brothers in the best of the land. Let them settle in the land of Goshen. And if you know any able men among them, put them in charge of my livestock."
Okay, so what's happening in this scene here?
Pharaoh's meeting the family and embracing the family.
Yeah. So Joseph tells Pharaoh, they're here. My family's here, and they are settled where again?
In Goshen.
And in the land of Goshen, as you gave it to them, basically. And what are we, but remember, we're reminding also that the famine is continuing. If remember, we left off last time, how many years of famine did they still have to go through?
5.
There's like 5 more years of this. Still about 5 years. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm not exactly certain on a map where exactly Goshen is.
Good question. It should be, let me see if I can find a picture of it here. I'm gonna just head up just for a second. See if I can
Just
find.
wondering like how far they traveled, you know?
Yeah, it's a great question. Map of Goshen. See if I can find something and pull it up real quick for people to see. And then I'll add it to the notes later on. That would be helpful. Okay, I think this will do. Okay, share. Okay, stop share. I'm gonna stop the shift for just a second. And then we'll pull up the map so you can see where everything's looking. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the land of Goshen. So they're coming from, here's Jerusalem over here. Beersheba, I believe, is around here in the land of Canaan, this rough area. And then they come all this way and they end up over here. It's a good sized land. It's right in the, you know, Jack, you might be right about the fighting off crocodiles. Goodness, I didn't realize Goshen looks like it's right over the Nile River. So it looks like it's a pretty nice looking land there, being having access to the Nile River like that, but they'd be up in the north.
And it's a little surprising that that land wouldn't already be full of Egyptians.
Yeah, yeah. And on the other side too, I know like the major cities is Memphis and Thebes are your two major cities, and Ramses. These are your two major cities is Memphis and Thebes for Egypt. So, but all of everyone pretty much you're in the desert up there, so pretty much everyone has to live near the river. But let me copy that image and put it in the notes. So let's try it one more time. Well, you're really testing my computer skills here. If I can see if I can pull this off on the fly. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna go and insert this map right here. See if it works.
Far distance.
Boom. There you go.
They were really just, you know, their journey was pretty long with their livestock and their sheep and everything.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. They're. It's gonna take. It's you know coming this way. I think it's like a couple weeks journey with everybody. They made it a few times. I mean, remember the brothers came once to see him, and they went back, and they got their brother, and then they went back. So they've done this journey like this is like 5 times now that they've made this trip. So that's why it's like, you know, when they wandered in the wilderness, they didn't go when they left Egypt. They didn't go this way, the way you normally would go. God took them down to Mount Sinai first. It took about a year to bring them all down there and then back up again. All right. So we had the famine, about that much left of it. And then the point is, how is Pharaoh treating them during this time? Basically,
Very well.
yeah. He gives them the best of the land. And then even at the end, what does he ask of Joseph at the very end? Verse 6.
Pick a good shepherd among your family and have him watch over his stock.
Yeah. You can have him watch my livestock too. So remember, that was also the promise of God. He had said, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And you can see that even here. Pharaoh he is not a believer, as far as we know, in God. The man thinks he himself is God, for goodness sake. Yet he is blessing Jacob and his family. And because of that, he is being blessed. Egypt is under God's blessing right now. They are the one place in all this famine-stricken world where there is bread, and he is providing for them, and he's taking care of them, not because Egypt is worthy of anything, but only because of Joseph, because they are blessing him. And I think that's, you start to see God's ways of salvation again and again. It's all about who you know, isn't it? Are you in with God's man? God has a man on earth. Call him Abraham, call him Noah, call him Jacob, call him Isaac, now call him Joseph. But God has this man, this Christ, this anointed one, whom if you are right with him, you are blessed. And if you will bless him, you will be blessed. And if you curse him, you will be cursed. You could be the greatest guy in the world, but if you curse God's man, you will be cursed. And you could be a total pagan heathen, but if you bless God's man, you will be blessed. You begin to see what's important to the Lord. And of course, that comes down, it reaches its ultimate fulfillment in Jesus as the Christ. He is the Christ. He is God's man whom he sent. And those who bless him shall be blessed, and those who curse him shall be cursed. So, shall we continue here? How much time we got? We got a few minutes left here. Let's do another paragraph. And Steph, you want to read that for us? 7 to 12?
Sure. Then Joseph brought in Jacob, his father, and stood him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Jacob, "How many are the days of years of your life?" And Jacob said to Pharaoh, "The days of the years of my sojourning are 130 years. Few and evil have been in the days of the years of my life, and they have not attained to the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their sojourning." And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from the presence of Pharaoh. Then Joseph settled his father and his brothers and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food according to the number of their dependents.
Okay. All right. So Joseph now brings his father, Jacob, before Pharaoh. And what is Pharaoh asks him about how many are the days of your life? How old are you? And what is Jacob's response?
130 years old.
Yeah. So how old are you? And he says, Jacob's response is very interesting. He says 130, but what does he say about them?
Of my years of sojourning.
Yeah. He says the days of my these are the days of my sojourning, he called it. And tell me about his sojourning. How does he describe his sojourning?
Says it's few and evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Feud and evil. Now, why does he say that?
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, he's had a lot of agony in all of this.
Yeah,
mean, starting out with, the tricking of his father-in-law, and then, his own kids not turning out the way he would have wanted, the oldest.
yeah. Let's talk about the few and evil days here. So first, the few. Why is it few? 130 years is a long time. I wouldn't call that few. What do you think, Haley?
Maybe he's comparing it to God.
Well, he is comparing it to something, but not to God. Who is he comparing himself to?
Seems like it's right? The life of my fathers.
It's few compared to the days of his fathers.
Mhm.
And his fathers lived, if you remember, I think Abraham, remember how old Abraham was when he died?
800 or something?
No. That's, you're thinking of like the older fathers, but Abraham was like 175 years. Noah was like 900 years. Even Abraham was like 175 years. And I think Isaac was a good ways too. But so it's few compared, like Noah was like over 900 years.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that. I mean, Noah was still alive when Abraham was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's-
So there's definitely, life is shortened, that's for sure. And then he says it's evil. The days are evil. When we talk about evil, we can talk about it as immoral, but also evil is just painful. It's just something's not right. Something's broken and it's difficult. Like, so think of the evils of Jacob's life. Let's talk about his sadness and sorrows. What has he suffered? You remember his whole story?
The loss of his son, or at least the supposed loss of his son.
Well, yeah, he's loss of sons, right? The loss of his wife. She died in childbirth, if you remember. We had the whole fleeing from his brother, being taken advantage of by whom?
His father.
By Laban, his father-in-law. Being crippled by God, by the Lord. Remember that? When he wrestles him and cripples him. I mean, he's just got so much sorrow and grief and suffering. He's 130 years old when he dies, but the last, goodness, 20 years or so, he's been living in deep sorrow and grief, thinking that Joseph is dead. That's a long time to feel that way. So he's really had a rough go. And then he says, he went out from the presence of Pharaoh. And what does Jacob do for Pharaoh? That's interesting. Verse 10. Jacob blessed Pharaoh. Now that's a remarkable statement. Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And then he went out from the presence of Pharaoh. What is that? What are your thoughts about that? What kind of impression does that leave with you here?
Well, God said that other people, other nations will be blessed by him.
Yeah. How should this have gone? How should it have ended? If there's going to be a blessing, who should have been blessing who?
Pharaoh should have blessed Jacob for all that, Joseph for all that he brought to him.
Yeah, Pharaoh, to bless someone, to pronounce this sort of benediction over them, typically it's from the greater to the lesser. You sort of bless the one who is sort of the benefactor, the one who has all the power and the wealth, blesses the one who doesn't, and gives him and lifts him up in that way and blesses him and sort of condescends to him. But here it's Jacob who is blessing Pharaoh. That Pharaoh is the king of the world, and Jacob here is the one who's sort of pronouncing blessings upon him, which is a remarkable scene of how, in many ways, at least this particular Pharaoh, whoever it is, has been sort of humbled by the whole scenario. And at least in this moment is recognizing that this Jacob is someone very special. We saw that before with kings. Yeah, go ahead. I see a hand in the back.
Oh, do you have a question?
Well, I was gonna say maybe why Jacob actually blessed the king. What's his name?
Pharaoh.
Was because he actually did have more. Like he was gonna go to heaven, and like he had faith and stuff.
Yeah, Jacob is so Pharaoh. Here's a little thing about pharaohs. Pharaohs believed that pharaohs were supposed to be the sons of God. The pharaohs were the son. They literally the son were the sons of God, of the gods. That they had this divine nature about them. That's why they would be worshipped themselves, and they would claim to be descendants of the gods. And so they have this special connection with the divine. But here it's clear in this passage, Pharaoh has nothing special about him. It's Jacob, but here it is Jacob who has the special connection.
And,
With
and
God.
Pharaoh's probably never received a blessing like Jacob, provided to him.
No doubt, Pharaoh has not met anything like this. This is stunning. And Jacob is a shepherd. He's an old man shepherd. He's a picture of weakness right there. And Pharaoh is honoring him and giving him respect. And it's amazing. And then so Joseph settles his father in the best of the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Joseph provides. So it ends with, the next part is that Joseph settles his family and provides for them. Joseph provided his father, his brothers, and all his father's household with food. Again, that picture of Christ, that gospel, the one that they betrayed, not only forgives them, but he saves them. And not only saves them, but he settles them, gives them a home. And not only that, but he provides for all their needs. That's the wonder of the story of grace. It's like like Christ, whom we betrayed, who was betrayed by his own people, rises to glory to save them, forgive them, become their shepherd, take care of them, and provide for all their needs. That's how the story is coming to its conclusion now, as we finish up here. So I want to stop it here right now. Any last comments or questions before we break here? That's good. All right. All right. Let me just pause it. Okay.